Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome to the Gaming Otaku. I'm your host, Cypherial, and today, let's talk Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell 2017 is a live-action American adaptation of the anime movie of the same name. It's heavily based off of the 1995 film, although it does take elements from all of the Ghost in the Shell media, and honestly manages to do it pretty well. But there's a few lingering problems, especially since this film, directed by Rupert Sanders, had a $110 million budget and only made about $20 million at the box office. Now, in Hollywood, that is deemed an absolute failure. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why it failed. So first of all, I want to talk about the fact that it is not a faithful adaptation, which you're going to be very hard-pressed to find a 100% tried and true, set-in-stone, faithful adaptation of anything nowadays. Everything is either a reboot with things like shifted or it's stupid ideas like Boss Baby. But this movie is not actually supposed to be like a carbon copy of the 1995 film. Most Ghost in the Shell media is, of course, self-contained. And what that means is the 1995 movie as well as the other movie, those are all in one timeline. Standalone Complex and Solid State Society, they're all in one timeline. The Arise series of films is all in one timeline. The manga is its own timeline. It makes sense that this movie would be in its own timeline. I don't know why people are complaining that it's not a faithful adaptation. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. Number one, because this is an American movie, you can't expect it to be, 100% faithful. Obviously, they do want to, change things up. But number two, it's called creative freedom. Creative liberty. If it was a carbon copy, it could have suffered from what I like to call the Force Awakens syndrome. Those of you that have seen Star Wars Episode 7, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Force Awakens is essentially a carbon frickin' copy of A New Hope. And I suppose that's why a lot of people liked it and a lot of people didn't like it. It was because it was basically a carbon copy of A New Hope. If that had been the case for Ghost in the Shell, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I do. Because, and only because, Star Wars got away with it because of its license. They knew that it would just sell on the name alone. The hype for the continuation of the original trilogy. With Ghost in the Shell, they tried to do something a little different. They tried to take elements from each of the other storylines and meld them together. And I honestly thought they did a pretty good job. I'm going to continue using the Star Wars analogy here. Star Wars also got away with casting relatively unknown people because of its license. Again, it would sell on the name alone. That's why they were able to cast relatively unknown people like Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Adam Driver. They were able to take that risk because the movie would sell on its name alone. Ghost in the Shell, however, couldn't afford that risk. They didn't have room to take that risk because it's such a limited demographic that they're targeting. So they had to cast a well-known actress, an actress that has a little bit of an acting report, someone who could draw in crowds at the box office, and they chose Scarlett Johansson. Which brings me to my second point, the whole whitewashing scandal that has basically taken this film by storm, that has shrouded this film in controversy since the day it was announced. Whitewashing. Now, for those of you not familiar with the term whitewashing, it basically means when you take a character in a fictional setting that is supposed to be, of some ethnicity, whether it be black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, and you cast a white person to play them. That's whitewashing. Although, I'd like to point out, the opposite is also true. If you guys watch Doctor Strange, Baron Mordo is a white guy in the comics. And in the movie, they cast a black person. Which in and of itself is not a bad thing. I welcome it, honestly. But, just to let you guys know, the other side of that does exist. And I honestly don't know why we have to bring race into this. Honestly, it seems every time there's a controversy surrounding like some sort of movie, it's almost always like about race. Or like gender or disability or whatever. Like, what happened to just enjoying the movie, guys? Why you hate? Now, I'm not going to defend or I'm not going to like condone or condemn any whitewashing claims. I'm not going to deny it exists either, because whitewashing in films definitely exists. But honestly, I don't find the claim to have much merit for two reasons. Number one, there is no strict canon as to the Major's ethnicity and origin story, because in all of the Ghost in the Shell world lines, because there's multiple world lines, as I previously stated, there's different origin stories. And again, there's no strict canon for her ethnicity. Obviously, the character Motoko Kusanagi, the person inside the shell, could be Japanese. Obviously, her namesake is Japanese. Her original character, her original body, her original person could have and would have been Japanese. My second point is that she is basically a full-body prosthesis cyborg. So there's a difference between the character being Caucasian, which is where the whitewashing claim comes in, and her shell having Caucasian features, having European features. So I think it's safe to say that there's really no set ethnicity for the Major. Motoko Kusanagi, on the other hand, is definitely Japanese. They show her for a brief period in the movie, and guess what? Her actress is Japanese. For those of you who are unaware of what I'm talking about, there is a point in the movie where they do a couple of flashbacks, and the character, the person that is supposed to be Motoko Kusanagi before she becomes the Major, that is what I'm talking about. Her actress is Japanese. Now, as far as why they cast Scarlett Johansson, this goes back to me saying the Force Awakens syndrome. This is an overseas market. It's not like the American box office sensation that is Star Wars. It's not going to sell on its name alone. They have to cater to an American market, especially considering how high of a stake Japanese companies had in this movie. I don't know if you guys noticed, but everyone wanted to be a part of this movie. There were at least 5 Japanese companies that had their splash screens at the start of the film. So yes, there was a pretty high stake for the Japanese industry overall. And because the film and anime industry in Japan basically depends on the success of this film, they had to cater to an American market. Hence the casting choice of Scarlett Johansson, which, I will be honest, I was a little iffy about, because the only things I've seen Scarlett Johansson in are as Black Widow in Avengers and Lucy. And Lucy was garbage. Black Widow, I sort of like tolerate her because she's like a supporting character, but this is like the first time I've ever actually gotten to see Scarlett Johansson act. And I'd like to point out, playing a character such as the Major, a character who supposedly has no emotion, and through the course of the story discovers what emotion is a very difficult task, because it's difficult to act emotionless and then act like you're discovering emotion for the first time. And I think she did that justice, so I gotta give her props for that. I am going to defend the casting choice for Scarlett Johansson. Flat out, I will defend it, because it worked. At least in my opinion, it worked. Would I have liked to see a prominent Asian actress as the Major? Of course I would have. But it wouldn't have been nearly as good. Riddle me this. If they had put some random Asian nobody in the film as the leading actress, would anybody really have gone to see it? Maybe, but it wouldn't have been as many people. I actually just had a few customers yesterday who said, hey, we're gonna go see Ghost in the Shell. Scarlett Johansson's in it. Should be pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they cast her. I mean, that really is why they cast her. They cast someone who would try and pull people into the box office, who would be a box office pull. Again, as far as the whitewashing claim, I think it's people making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm not denying that it definitely exists, because it definitely does. But I think in this case, they're really making a mountain out of a molehill. Which brings me to the point of this video. The real problem with the Ghost in the Shell 2017 adaptation, the reason why this film and all others like it, past, present, and future, will be deemed failures. It's not because of the whitewashing, it's not because it's not a faithful adaptation, it's not because of the directing, the casting choices, the writing, the music, the CGI, whatever. The real problem with Ghost in the Shell is you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you, the viewer, the fans, the demographic that this film is targeting. I bet you guys clicked on this video thinking, hey, he's going to talk about the whole whitewashing scandal. I want to listen. And I bet this is the point of the video where you guys just shut it off. But hear me out for the next couple of minutes. So you know the saying, everyone's a critic? Well, working in a movie theater, I do find that to be true, especially in this case. See, I find that people really don't go to the theater to just watch movies or be entertained. They go to criticize. They go to review and criticize. Because people go in to certain movies with the expectation that, oh, this is going to be bad. Oh, I might not like this. You guys are actively looking for something to dislike about it. And when you go in with the expectation that this movie is going to be bad, you are always going to actively look for things to dislike. You will nitpick the ever-loving hell out of it. And this is a problem because you guys fail to see the movie for what it really is. This movie is far from perfect. You would be very hard-pressed to find one movie that is rated 100% by 100% of people who watched it. Princess Bride is my favorite movie. I think it is absolutely amazing. Is it a perfect movie? No. And that's fine. Nothing has to be absolutely perfect. But you guys set these movies up with such a ridiculous expectation that it will never be able to live up to. And when it really can't, because the source material is just so much better, you just actively look for things to hate about the movie. And when the movie is surrounded in controversy, you always look for evidence of the controversy. Everyone just watches to review and nitpick, only looking for reasons to hate. You don't watch for entertainment. That's honestly the biggest problem. When you do find something that you don't like, instead of saying, oh, you know, I didn't like that they did this, I think that this would have been more appropriate, or instead of giving a list of things that they could have done better, you blow it up. You say, oh, this is why I don't like it. This is why this thing is shit. Rotten Tomatoes gave this film a 44%. And that's another thing. Rotten Tomatoes, you guys, as of late, I've seen a lot of people go to Rotten Tomatoes as the end-all be-all of movie recommendations. And this is a major problem because at the end of the day, they're human, they're critics, they're giving their opinion. Opinions do have a basis in fact, but critic opinions are there to help you decide, hey, should I take this with a grain of salt? What should I expect for the movie? And when Rotten Tomatoes rates a movie very badly, people often avoid it. People often look to Rotten Tomatoes as, okay, if it's rotten, I'm never going to go see it, ever, at all, despite the fact that I'm interested in it. If it's fresh, I'm going to go see it, like, regardless. Rotten Tomatoes is not the end-all, be-all of, you know, should you watch this film, should you not? I'm always a firm believer that you should watch a film yourself and then read the reviews. And it doesn't matter about the ticket price. I personally got in for free. I don't really care. But it doesn't really matter about like the $10 ticket price or whatever. Because if you go just by yourself and you go to say, hey, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, I'm going to watch the movie, and then look at reviews, you'll have a better time. You'll find things that you say, oh, okay, I agree with that. Oh, I disagree with that. I think this could have been better. I think this was very well done. No one really does that. Everyone watches reviews and reads reviews first before they go and see the movie, before they go and play the game, before they go and read the book or whatever. So everyone just looks to critics, and critics are often bullshit. Now, the funny part about all of this is you guys will literally demonize this movie, and then a couple of years later, you guys are going to be like, oh, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Why don't they make an adaptation, a live-action adaptation of Sword Art Online? Why don't they ever make any good anime to live-action adaptation? Well, this is why. Because you guys demonize it, because you guys surround it in controversy, because you guys say, hey, this movie is shit, because whitewashing. That's the real problem. It's not the casting choice. It's not the fact that it's not a faithful adaptation. It's you. It's the viewer. It is you placing that stigma on these films. This film had a $110 million budget, and it only made a measly $20 million back. Why? I don't even care if you guys don't like the film. If you guys want to see more works like these, support the film, support the industry. Go buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. Buy the merchandise. Support the filmmakers, because that is how you get more adaptations. That is how you get the money to create better adaptations. Just saying, hey, next time you should do better is not like, it doesn't work. It's detrimental, counterproductive to what you guys want. If you guys want a faithful adaptation of Ghost in the Shell, say that. But support the film nonetheless. And when you compare this to a movie like Boss Baby, which also came out this weekend and made $40 million at the box office, it has me going, what the hell happened? Like, Ghost in the Shell had a Super Bowl spot, it had countless trailers, it has a really good leading actress. It has a really good cast. You have Scarlett Johansson, you have Pilo Asbayek, Takeshi Kitano. But because the elitist fucking anime fans say, oh, it'll never be as good as the original, so I'm not gonna go see it. That's why this film flopped. You guys are the reason this film failed. You and no one else. Because you guys refuse to see it. You guys refuse to support it because you are all elitists. And personally, it makes me ashamed to call myself an otaku. If you guys want to see more movies like this, regardless of whether they're good or not, because good is obviously subjective, you guys need to support the industry. And the same goes for the anime industry. If you torrent, fuck you. Buy the Blu-ray. Support the official release. Support the industry. Because for God's sake, the Japanese economy fucking needs it. God, I can feel my blood pressure rising right now. The real problem with this movie, the reason why it and all others like it will fail, is because of you, the viewer. And the only way to change that is to support this film, even if you don't like it. I liked it. I thought it was a good adaptation. I think it's worth the $10 or $11 ticket price. I enjoyed Scarlett Johansson's performance. I enjoyed Pilo Asbayek, though I've never heard of him. I enjoyed Takeshi Kitano. This was my first time getting to see Takeshi Kitano in action. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the story. I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. Obviously, it will never be as good as the original. But that's not the point. I know you can't help but compare it, but go in with an open mind. If you have to compare it to the original, that's fine. But don't do it in such a way that you lose sight of what the movie really is. This is a good American adaptation. I want to point that out. I cannot reiterate this enough. This is a good American adaptation. And this is one of the very few anime to live action adaptations I enjoy. So obviously, I'm gonna support it. What about you? Are you guys gonna say, oh, whitewashing, I'm not gonna see the movie? Or are you guys gonna give the movie a chance? Go out to your theater. Go see the movie. I don't care if you don't like it. That's not the point. The reason why this film failed is because elitists refuse to support it. And ultimately, that is detrimental and counterproductive to the industry. And I'm not talking about Hollywood. Fuck Hollywood. I'm talking about the Japanese film and anime industry. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode of The Gaming Otaku. I went on a fucking tangent. Stuff like this just honestly triggers me. But anyways, Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think about the movie, about the points I raised in the video in the comment section below. Please feel free to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe for more of the Gaming Otaku. For more weeb shit. Also follow me on Twitter at Cypherial and Facebook, facebook.com/The Gaming Otaku Show. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.